Hey everybody, it's Zach, and today we're going to talk about The Predator. Now, every Predator movie aims to have a different group of guys and one lady, because you're only allowed to have one, going up against the scary title character. Part 1 was all muscle and testosterone. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura. You know them, you love them, we ain't got time to bleed. Part 2 starred slightly sci-fi film noir cops who were unprepared for the situation and the whole, the setting from the jungle to the city. Danny Glover, Bill Paxton, Ruben Blades, not Blades, it's actually pronounced Blades. You freaking gringos. Part 3 had a broad ensemble of mismatched killers: Adrian Brody, Walton Goggins, Danny Trejo, Mahershala Ali, pre-Moonlight. The new movie, simply titled The Predator, stars a ragtag group of broken men. They make the Guardians of the Galaxy look like SEAL Team 6, but they're still soldiers, and they still step up when they gotta do what they gotta do. They're called loonies, and they've all got their own damage. I don't want to spoil the full damage of everybody, but Trevante Rhodes from Moonlight has his own really cool, dramatic backstory. Thomas Jane, he has Tourette's syndrome and PTSD, and Keegan-Michael Key, his character is traumatized from a friendly fire incident that he caused. And it's not just those guys. There's Sterling K. Brown as the Black Ops science guy, with a total lack of compassion, but a lot of great lines. He's deliciously unlikable, but I was enraptured by his presence. Sterling K. Brown is one of my favorite actors, and I don't even watch This Is Us. Olivia Munn is the audience surrogate. She's a teacher / space enthusiast who gets dragged into the whole thing, and she's a really good choice for that role, the fish out of water. Finally, there's Boyd Holbrook, Jacob Tremblay, and Yvonne Strahovski. Yvonne is only in the movie for a couple of scenes, and she's pretty cool, but also kind of a non-entity. It feels like she's kind of a big name for such a non-role. And I loved Boyd Holbrook in Run All Night. It's one of my favorite New York City movies. But he's also famous for Logan and Narcos. He's the de facto lead. The movie opens with him, McKenna, encountering a predator and surviving. Really nasty scene with the disc that is basically designed to get the kids out. They see this guy get bisected, and it's like, all right, not for you. That's when you decide if you want to watch it or not. So he survives. He takes the Predator's mask and its gauntlet, and it sends it home to his P.O. box. Except he forgot to maintain his payments or something, so it goes to his house, where it's discovered by his son, played by Jacob Tremblay, who is, he's adorable. He's great. He's the best. There's a lot of plot to dissect if you're into that sort of stuff, and there's a ton of mythology to uncover if you're a fan of previous movies, including the publicized appearance of Jake Busey as the son of Gary Busey's character from Predator 2. He's his son in real life. But he only has a small role here, and he doesn't really play up his connection to the mythology. And just to get out of the way, there are no alien references that I was aware of. There's a lot of jargon going on. It's got a lot of balls in the air, a lot of plot. But it also never loses sight of the most important element, which is the constant through line of McKenna trying to save his son. His son has Asperger's syndrome, and I don't really know a whole lot about that stuff, about the spectrum, but the movie does. It talks about it a bunch, and it plays into the story in some cool ways. And I never felt like the film was being maliciously disrespectful or anything like that. It's funny, and it makes a lot of jokes, but it's fine. Shane Black, the co-writer and director, he's funny. And so the movie is funny. The other Predator movies had their comic moments, especially the original, which co-starred Black, but it still fell squarely within the realms of action and horror. For The Predator, I'd classify it as an action comedy first, and horror a distant second. By now, you either love Shane Black's style or you're a square, so that will largely paint your perception of the movie. I love it. The Nice Guys is one of my all-time favorites, and viewers who come into The Predator looking for a bonkers Shane Black joint will get exactly what they're looking for. Everyone here is funny, but the one-liners are always in character. The characters themselves do have a tendency to happily drag themselves along wherever the plot wants them to go, rather than being naturally carried away by it. But that didn't bother me so much in this case because I was genuinely invested in the whole cast, even the villains, and wanted to see what would happen to them next. The title monster, the Predator, is so well known that its hunting and killing and skinning and spine ripping can't really be played for horror anymore. So it instead reaches for unrepentant audacity, by which I mean there's some good kills here. That Predator just disemboweled a guy like you'd core an apple, and it was awesome. The movie does a good job of letting you know it's okay to cheer when the Predator kills these particular people, so you can still be sad when he scores kills from the other, more valued group of people, even within the same scene. And I feel like that's a difficult tonal balance to strike, but I feel like it hits it. There's a lot of CGI blood here, which I know is divisive among gorehounds, but I'm usually a fan because it can behave exactly like what the director wants it to. And I think it looks really good here. Real thick. Real viscous. Good viscosity. Chunky. Salsa. Nachos. Rancheros. Macheteadas. There's one moment I've already heard people complaining about, and I have to agree with them. Without spoiling anything, a certain main character gets killed off really quickly, with no fanfare or anything, and the whole scene is over in like a second. It's really poorly done, and I didn't even realize he was dead until a few seconds later. I was like, wait, did they just kill that main character like that? And I didn't even notice? Lame. I don't think it was one of Shane Black's signature subversive fake outs. I think they just realized that they hadn't shot a death scene for this particular character, and they just threw it together at the last possible second as quickly as possible. It just didn't work. Didn't work for me, and I'm hoping for a more... I was hoping for a more dramatic end for that guy. Still, like, all told, The Predator rocks. That's the best word for it. It rocks. It's not an homage to the original movie, but it has plenty of sly references and clever takes on classic lines. And it's an homage to the spirit of creativity that allowed the original Predator to exist in the first place. The movie just took a metric ton of muscles and testosterone and threw him in the jungle with a monster and let the cameras roll. I mean, obviously there's a lot more to making a movie than that, but that's the feeling that you get when you watch the original Predator. And so The Predator is an R-rated action comedy with a ton of blood and gore. It's bonkers, just like its characters, and just like them, it steps up when it's got to do what it's got to do. Tough guy stuff. It doesn't play like a horror comedy, and it doesn't turn the title character into a joke, but The Predator does have its moments, including the tactical use of a severed arm that I don't want to spoil. Despite the constant hilarity and endless supply of raunchy witticisms, The Predator is still a threat, and whenever it shows up, things get deadly serious right quick. There's also a lot of great themes at play here, some briefly and some are more pronounced. There's a single line of dialogue about climate change and mankind's fleeting presence in the universe. But there's also heavier stuff about masculinity and the differences between soldiers and killers. Killers enjoy it. There's some great stuff here about duty, honor, and stepping up to do the right thing. One of my favorite themes in life and in fiction is how losing battles still need to be fought, so that future generations know people were willing to fight for what was right. There's no doubt that a fight against a friggin' predator is a losing battle. What kind of person would willingly go up against something like that? They'd have to be a loony. And that's the whole movie. It's about these crazy people going up against a predator. You know, you're either in or you're out. And I feel like you know it pretty early on if you're in or you're out. And that's it. That's it. I don't think the film's marketing should have spoiled the presence of the souped up giant predator, since it makes its entrance in such a fantastic, like, jaw-dropping way. I really was like white-knuckled in my seat. The CGI is a bit spotty on the Mega Predator, and I would have preferred a man in the suit like the regular Predator, but it wasn't actually as distracting as I thought it would be. Still, though, it's like the original Predator effects still hold up 30 years later, so why try to fix what isn't broken? Tonally, the movie is kind of all over the place, but that's also the point. The characters are all over the place. They're all mentally imbalanced in one way or another. But they still rock. And they still kick ass when it's time to deal with an ass that needs to be kicked. It's that type of self-aware machismo that can border on self-parody while still playing its messages and its characters completely straight. That's my kind of movie. And The Predator, to me, is another feather in Shane Black's heavily feathered cap. If that's your kind of movie, then it's the easiest recommendation. Just go watch it. You're gonna like it. You know, if you're unfamiliar with Shane Black, but you don't like the idea of like a horror monster movie, rated R, so violent, you know, you might actually really like it because, again, it is so funny. It is so take no prisoners. We will make a joke at every single opportunity while still being scary and exciting and not becoming a comedy. It is a action horror-ish movie that is very, very funny. That's all I can say. It's The Predator. You like it or you don't. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of love-hate. A lot of people are going to be really mad. Like, what is this? This is not what I signed up for. And a lot of people are going to go, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I was hoping for. So, that's my review, The Predator. It's out on Friday. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs up. I think it's the same either way, right? If you get a thumbs down, it's the same as getting a thumbs up. So it's like, why even have the thumbs? I don't get YouTube, whatever.